Brought to you by Let's Make Art.
So good.
Now let's see if it actually worked on YouTube's.
I'm looking at jokes. I'm really
Oh, good. You're preparing yourself? So
yeah,
happy to
just
hear
jokes,
that.
though. I don't want to be, like, influenced
What do you mean?
by, like, I want to come out with some originals.
Oh.
Good call.
Just barely show up.
Oh, let me turn this off.
To bear my
Yes.
humor tonight.
So, yes. We're on the right track already. I'm so happy with my choices. We're going to have a great time.
If you need me to stop so you can say some things, that's okay.
I'm going to be like, Molly, quit taking over my show.
Well, that's what I heard anyways.
Never once. Never once.
Brock says, Sarah doesn't want you there anymore because you're too distracting.
Brock is a dirty liar. Never once have I
Don't
said
listen to that.
Slide.
I know he's your husband, but I'm telling you, don't trust him.
Can I share a Facebook memory?
Yeah.
It's going to be audio for you guys, but it's Eleanor like 2 years ago.
Oh, I want to see it.
Wow.
Wow.
Is this?
Is that you? Say hi. Wow.
She's waving.
Oh.
She just blew a kiss to the camera.
Say wow.
Wow.
Wow. Wow.
That's so cute.
Oh,
What is this guy? Is this
Yeah, it's you.
oh my gosh, that's great. Why can I never find our live videos?
I don't know. Hey, Alexis is on. Hey, Alexis.
Oh, hey, Alexis.
Hey.
Well, Facebook works.
Do we need to turn that off?
Let me get this headphone in my ear.
Oh, Samantha's from Australia. She's saying good morning. Good morning, Samantha.
Good morning.
Good morning. Okay, it's not too. It's going to be okay.
I just have to remember to turn my mic back on if and when I
I'll remind you. Every single time you
Interject.
say something, I'm going to say, was your mic on for that?
repeat.
Please repeat. Aisha is saying hi. Hi.
Hi, Aisha.
Sue's watching. Hello, Sue. Hannah, it's her first time from Seattle. Hannah, welcome to our paint along family night. Maybe I shouldn't call it that. Our paint party night. That's better.
Thank you. There you go.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Do you want to tape yours down, Jesse, or are you good? Okay.
I need all the help I can get here.
Okay. Trying to make sure. Tamara said, Master Punster is in the house. We need to get Molly a shirt that says like Pun Queen.
It would help if they could see you. I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
I had the top cam already ready to
I
rock.
know, I'm seeing it.
It looked so good.
But the top
was
cam
raising
angle is
the
great, so.
Okay. Is this where I need to sit? Am I?
Oh, does she? Let me see.
Do you want to
just
switch
switched.
spots with Sarah? Is that what you're asking?
Molly, please leave. Jesse actually needs to come in a little bit, and you a little bit
Yeah.
too. Just
Okay.
a tiny bit.
I'm just gonna pretend this isn't there.
Thank you. Sorry, it is there.
That's good.
Susan says she can barely stand it.
Ah,
Classic.
Laura Jones just logged on, and she's really good at puns also, Molly.
oh yeah,
so.
she is. I've seen her work. She is a for real punster.
She is.
For real.
For real.
Bears
For
have fur.
real.
Yeah.
Molly, this is what we're in for tonight. So great. I'm just gonna, oh, it says no sound. Barbara says no sound. If you can't hear us, let us know.
That can't be true.
Barbara, maybe it's just the
If you
your
can't
connection.
hear us, let us know. I mean, it makes sense. They can type it.
You're right. Should have said that.
I could sign it, but not everybody knows sign language. And that's okay.
What, you know sign language?
Yeah, I know a lot of it, but
Really?
not everything. Yeah.
How do you know so much?
I took college courses.
Really?
Yeah.
I did not know that about you.
That's
Well.
so great.
You know.
Molly.
That is really amazing. I feel like sign language should be taught worldwide and then the same one.
Yeah.
So we can communicate with each
Yeah.
other no matter where we
I
go.
was just having this
Yes.
conversation with somebody because, like, we have ASL,
Yeah.
American Sign Language, and, like, I was watching a Japanese anime movie the other day.
Okay.
It's called Silent
No judgment.
Voice.
I like Japanese anime.
Perfect. Silent Voice. And they're signing. I'm like, they have a lot of the same signs
Oh,
as
really?
American Sign Language does. And it's just like, wait a second.
Is the sign, do you know if it's different for each, like, different language? They have their own?
Pretty well. I think the closest one ours is related to is the French, but that's because the French taught
Oh, I see.
our, like,
Yeah.
well, not our, the deaf community
Okay.
stuff.
So
On a boat,
interesting.
on a long boat ride over here.
I had no idea.
The more you know.
The more you know.
Not bear related, but bear,
Still interesting.
bear has the word ear in it.
Yes.
So
Related,
Isn't that
absolutely.
eerie?
It's it's the same for sure.
yeah. Anyways, a little tangent for you.
What
There
time
it
are we
is.
at, Keenan?
7:14 and YouTube popped up.
Oh, good.
Perfect.
Oh, Cassandra says, sign is not universal. I have an undergrad degree with a concentration on deafness. Wow, Cassandra, thank you for letting us know.
That
That's
is
amazing.
cool.
Very cool.
I'm not that educated in it. So if I'm wrong, I'm sorry.
Okay, I think it's time to start. Is it time, Keenan?
It is time.
Heidi's watching.
Heidi, hello, Heidi. I missed you at work today. Okay. Now for a long dramatic pause. That's from Susan.
Susan.
Just this great community of puns. I can't.
Tonight's snack, the bear claw.
Oh my gosh, that's what.
We
Keenan,
should have had
why
bear
didn't
claws.
you
We
think
even
about
made that joke in
You're
the video.
in charge of these things.
I'm not a professional, and I'm really I'd like to apologize.
We got Funyuns.
Not the same, Molly. Not the same.
No?
But that's a good suggestion.
Yeah, we could.
I'm sorry for yelling at you. Do you forgive me?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's get started.
Just don't hate.
Okay, welcome everybody to Let's Make Art. We are here doing our weekly paint along, which if you've never tuned in before, it's pretty much a really fun time. We're just gonna paint our weekly project together, and tonight we are doing our mama bear.
Ooh.
Please ooh and ah.
Ah.
Thank you very much. It's a lot of fun. I've been seeing you guys post this on our Facebook group. You guys have been doing a phenomenal job, and I love that about you guys. Also, so many of you have been like, I was so scared to do this, but I did it anyway, and good for you. Like, I know that sometimes we look at projects and we're like, I can't do that, and then you guys just did it anyway, and so brave of you, and I love that about
Every
you.
day.
So, tonight, for our paint-along, we have Molly. You might have seen her before. She's really good at puns. Also, she's Brock's wife, and you guys know who Brock is. So, all in the family. We have Jessie. She's also one of my amazing people that I work with at Let's Make Art. You'll be seeing more of her. She's super talented and wonderful, and I'm so glad she's here tonight. We have Keenan, always,
I'm in the background.
in the background.
Just being the creepy guy in the back.
It feels right.
It does feel right.
Feels right.
I enjoy being the creepy guy in the background.
So the first thing you guys might have noticed is my shirt. Look at my shirt. We made shirts.
Ooh.
We have them for pre-sale, pre-order right now. If you go to our website, letsmakeart.com, they're available for pre-order, and there's a special pre-order price. So you have until June 1st to receive that pre-order price, and then they're all going to start shipping the week of June 10th. So go ahead, get these amazing shirts, and we can just all wear them every Tuesday night.
That's a long time span.
I'm not mad about it. Let's just all the time. Actually, every time you paint, maybe you're.
Yeah.
I don't know about that. Okay.
I don't know.
So our mama bear, we have 5 different colors with this project. So we are using black, sepia. Do you say sepia or sepia?
Sepia.
Sepia. Okay, great. Bam. We have dandelion yellow, we have rose red, and we have deep blue. So we have 5 different colors. So if you're not using the same exact colors from our subscription box and you're using your own supplies, that is so great. You're essentially just using a brown, a black, a yellow, a blue, and a red. We are doing purple flowers. So I mixed my purple, but if you are a subscriber, you have violet in your box. So if you want to take that out and play with that too, you are more than welcome to do that. We have 6 steps. Faces? They said that they can hear.
It just keeps cutting in and out on my end. I don't know.
Okay, if you guys hear my audio cutting out, let me know. They
Yes.
should be able to hear that,
Yeah,
right?
they should be good.
Maybe I'll put it in my pocket so it won't. Okay. Now we have 6 steps for this bear. So the very first step is we are going to do the color of the face. The second step, we are going to do the color on the snout, which is the central area. Third step, we are going to do the neck and the ears. Fourth step, we are going to put in the black areas, which is like the eyes and the nose. Fifth step, we are going to do florals. And then the very last step is details. Molly filled in for you, Keenan. She saved you.
In my defense.
You were working.
I was trying to get the cameras to where it would be optimal for the viewer.
Okay. Good reason.
So
Sorry.
sorry.
So, yeah, they said the audio is cutting in and out.
It probably just hit them when it was going funky. It's been
It's
fine
it's
since.
fine. Okay, since. Okay, great. Seems better now. Yeah, again on the shirts, you can order them from our website. They'll be shipping June 10th. Put in the size that you need. We have a size guide up there. Oh, if you're between sizes, size up. We've had a bunch of people try on the different shirts to test them for you guys to make sure that they're correct. So size up if you're in between sizes.
Also, they're soft. I tried them. They should
They're
know that.
so soft. They're really comfortable shirts.
What about kid sizes? Do you have kid
We don't have
sizes?
kid sizes yet, but I think that's something we're working on. So don't worry, we'll get there. Okay, so we are going to do our outline and then trace our outline, and then we're going to do our oath, and then we'll do warm-ups and start painting, okay? So then we're all on the same page. I am wearing a size small, and I'm 5'3" and 130 pounds, if that's helpful.
Putting that out there.
Just
I don't care.
threw that out.
I don't mind saying my weight, whatever.
Threw caution to the wind and the scale.
I like to live on the edge.
That's right.
I don't mind if people know my weight.
Wait, that's not even on the shirt.
It's not even on the
You
shirt
literally
yet.
do.
Yet.
Dang. Dun dun dun.
And these are unisex shirts. So, yes, thank you. Great questions. Right now we're just doing black with white lettering. That's what we have for you. I hope it's enough and we love you. Okay, so let's start with tracing our outline. And Nicole did do the lettering. Man, you guys are on top of it. Nicole, our talented lettering artist, did the lettering for this shirt, and she's so amazing. And I love that you guys recognize that.
That was great.
Okay, now we are going to start outlining our bear. Now, one thing I would like to say is if you watch the pre-recorded tutorial and you got the printed outline, the outlines were a little bit different, and that was completely my bad. I didn't have a printed outline when we went to film, and so I just made one on the fly, and I thought that they were similar enough, but I was wrong. I will never do that again to you guys. I've never done it before. I'll be better. So sorry about that.
I would like to say it's pretty impressive that you just threw one together though. So
I'm like, I
mean,
don't have an outline.
It slowed our day down by like 20 minutes, but it was
I was just
fine.
like, hold on, let me make one really quick. So I'm sorry about that, but I'm using the same exact one that you have in your box. So we're all on the same page for that. Now, when you're using your outlines, what I want you to do is I like to tape my outline down to my paper, and then you take your graphite paper, which is in your box or your kit. You're gonna put it shiny or dark side down on your paper.
Forgot that part.
I have done that so many times. The worst is when you trace the entire image and lift it up and nothing is there because you never put the graphite paper down. I've done that.
Glad you're here.
And then you're gonna start, whatever mark you make on the outline, it will show up on your paper. Now be careful, because if you're using your fingers and pressing really hard, any sort of like pressure is gonna make a mark on your paper. So just be aware. Now, when you are using your pens to trace, if you use a felt tip pen, it's gonna be a lighter line. And what I always like to do is I make the line and then I look underneath and see how that looks. This is I'm gonna make mine dark for you guys so you can see what I'm doing really well. Can you find me a pen, Keenan?
Yes, I can.
But when you're doing this at home, try and make the line as light as possible. A couple tricks that you can do is using a felt tip marker, or you can do really, really soft pressure, and always test the line first before you do the entire thing, because you can adjust it as you go. So, and then you just start following the different lines that we have here for you. Now, the biggest thing I want you to remember about outlines is they're just like general ideas of placement. So I don't want you to feel like if you missed outlining a part that you ruined it. You did not ruin it at all. And also, we have a tendency to want to like section things off and kind of like color block and only stay within those lines. It's from like, you know, coloring books, like that's kind of how we're taught. But I don't want you to do this with these kinds of outlines. We always want kind of transitions most of the time, so I'll show you how to do that. But basically what I'm saying is, just because there's an outline there, that doesn't mean you can only stay within that space. You should move around it and transition out and all of that kind of stuff. Now, the other thing, so when I make outlines and when I use outlines in my personal work, I just look for places that are the general shape of the entire thing, which is why we have the perimeter outline. And then I also look for value changes. So when there are areas where there is strong, darker values or highlights, I like to mark those, because then it reminds me to like put them in. Because when you go to paint, sometimes our brain does really funny things where it really tricks us as to what we're seeing. And so trying to paint what you actually see is a little bit more complicated. So that's why I like to put all these lines on the outline to kind of help you to look for those changes. Okay, I'm trying to think. I'm just looking to see if there were any other questions. Okay, we're doing good. You guys are doing great. Keep on going with this, guys. There's lots of little lines. And then also, if you don't have a huge problem with noticing those value changes, don't feel like you have to copy every single outline that's on here. If you think that there's a little bit too much lines on here that it's distracting for you, I'm like, don't be mad about it. Just like, don't do all the lines, you know, just do what you think you need, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Marcy says, ugh, my graphite paper has gotten torn up and grisly looking.
Oh, but that's a good point. You can reuse your graphite paper. So don't just use it once and throw it away. It actually gets better with time, because that graphite paper kind of wears off, and then your line is going to get a little bit softer and lighter every single time you use it. So keep that in mind. Why did that not transfer? There we go. And also, if you use a marker, like even like colored pencil or something, just a different color, it's much easier to see if you've missed any spaces.
With this black marker, this bears like going goth or something.
Very serious.
Putting on the eyeliner real thick.
It's been so fun to see, like, people have been painting this bear, and of course different expressions and personalities take shape when you're painting animals. And they're like, this mama bear is clearly irritated with their kids right now because the bear looks a little bit
She's got
like,
one
serious.
too many cubs on her left
Yeah.
leg.
She just needs a break, which I feel is fitting as a mother. Okay.
Marcy gave me a nice compliment.
Oh, what'd she say?
She said, Keenan, known in my house as that funny guy who makes jokes in the background. You are my 6-year-old son's hero.
Oh.
I myself am only 7, so it's perfect.
Keenan, you need to write that in your journal. Will you do that?
Maybe someday
should.
will have a son.
Maybe.
Not 2 daughters.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Well,
Maybe.
you will have 2 daughters.
You will always have 2 daughters.
But, you know.
Maybe.
Or you could just have another girl.
Oh, I didn't do the nostrils.
Which we left.
I just need a pencil.
I don't have that.
Keenan, do you see a pencil anywhere? I guess I can put it in with a marker.
This has no eraser.
That's
and
okay.
It was the scariest looking pencil I've ever seen.
That's okay. Let me look. Okay, so I lifted it off and I realized that I forgot the nostril part, but trying to tape this back on is going to be like impossible to line up, right? So just kind of eyeball it, and don't worry if it's not exactly right. So I'm just going to put that in. Oh, and this side I missed.
Bear with ya.
Bear with me as I do this. Molly, yes.
What watercolors do you recommend for beginners, and do you like acrylics? If so, what acrylic supplies are good to start out with?
Like acrylic painting supplies? Okay. I don't love acrylic paints. It's okay if you do. I support you and I appreciate you, but I can't say for sure that I have a strong preference of acrylic paints because it's not a medium I usually paint with. I do like the Holbein acrylic gouache line, and I've used that in some of my work, a lot of my work actually. And for like beginner watercolors, that's kind of a tricky question. I prefer the liquid watercolors because they're vibrant. I feel like they're easy to use. They blend really nice, and the wet on wet technique with them is so fun. So that's why we use them in the box and why I use them in my personal work. However, I like to think of like painting brands as almost like dog breeds, where it's not like there's like one thing it's not like there's a clear dog breed that's like the winner universally. It's preference. It's like whatever you're looking for. So some people prefer tubes, some people prefer pans. I have a whole video about watercolor supplies to kind of help you decide which ones are best for you. That's on our YouTube channel, beginner series called Supplies. And, you know, just test them out and play with them. What?
Molly's got a joke right just
What?
sitting
Whenever
there.
you're talking about dogs and you're like, so some prefer tubes, I'm like, what kind of a dog is tubes?
But I just like that. I feel like it's such a personal choice that I can't say like one brand and one paint reigns supreme because I don't have the right to tell you what materials work for you. It's totally a personal choice, and I don't think there's anything wrong with whatever people choose, and don't judge someone else for what they use. You know what I mean? It's like, let them just make art and like don't
Be creative.
and be creative because people are looking for different things.
If you have kids and your kids get into your art supplies, I prefer Crayola pancakes.
Yes, washable
Whenever you have
markers.
kids over at your house and they paint on your stairs.
That doesn't sound like.
That doesn't
doesn't
sound like
your
something my
Girl
kids would do.
Speaking about dog breeds, do you guys have favorite dog breeds? I mean, let's go there. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I have favorite bears.
You have favorite bear breeds?
Yeah, I like black bears.
Black bears? Yes. Have you seen that weird picture of that black bear without like hair or something?
What?
They look so weird.
No. Are you sure it's not just a big dog?
I'm pretty sure. Dogs also have hair.
I don't know. I like bulldogs.
What are people saying? They like
Shih Tzu, Shin Poo,
German Shepherds.
Beagles.
Okay, I'm gonna mispronounce this, but I know what it is. Don't judge me. Is it I know it's a wiener dog.
Dachshund.
Dachshund or Dachshund? Or
Well,
Ooh, Catahoula.
you just said dachshund.
We're not gonna paint it for this exact
I'm
reason.
looking at Keenan to help me, and he's like, I can't help you. I
don't
don't
have
know.
any idea.
I love Catahoulas.
We got Chihuahuas,
Beautiful.
Golden
Maltese,
Retriever,
Chocolate Labs,
Yorkie,
Sun Bears,
Jack
Wheaten
Russell.
Terriers. I don't even know if I know what that looks like.
French
Cairn
Bulldogs.
Terrier. Gosh, these are all so different. I love that. Corgis.
Ah.
Corgis are so good.
Their cute little butts.
American Bulldog.
And I think wiener dogs, I love how stubby their legs are. It makes me so happy. Same with corgis. Like they're just, yeah, their legs are so
Shuffling around.
stubby.
Wait, can I share a
They can never get on a couch.
Yeah.
Don't wear a bracelet. and
Don't wear a
press
bracelet.
down
Pit
on your-
mixes.
Did it leave marks?
Pro tip.
Just a little bit. Just
Oh,
fine.
that's not too bad. That's
One of my
not too
best
bad.
friends had a pit bull, and she was just the most energetic, sweetest dog ever.
Yeah, pit bulls are great.
Oh.
I also really like, why did I just forget their name? They have really buggy eyes.
Pugs.
Pugs. I think pugs are so funny. My aunt had this pug named Indy, and whenever he saw me and my husband drive up to their driveway, he would for real run out and squeal like a pig because he was so excited. And he only did that for us, and that's got to make you feel really good.
Oh yeah.
Like when a dog is so excited that it literally is like squealing.
Makes a new sound.
And only for us, it's like, you know what? I got something going on if that dog likes me that much, you know?
I'm not going to pretend they do.
I
that's
know.
That's not what they do.
They're not interested in that. They're so sincere. Okay. Oh, Blakeland says rescue dogs. That is very true. Okay. We good with the outline? We ready? We got our outlines? Perfect. I did mine a little bit darker so you guys can see what's going on. I hope you guys can see that clearly. Now we are going to do our warm-ups. So grab an extra sheet of paper. And the two brushes that we are using tonight are a round 6 and a round 2. These are our go-to guys. They do that heavy lifting for us. I use them in every single project. Yes, Keenan.
Were we going to do the oath before our warm-ups?
We're gonna do the oath now. Thank you. Keenan, thank you. Thank you everybody for reminding me.
Mike, my mic wasn't on. I apologize.
That's okay. All right, everybody raise your right hand and repeat after me. I promise to be kind to myself.
I promise to be kind to myself.
I promise not to compare my work.
Promise not to compare my work.
And I promise to have fun.
And I promise to have fun.
Thank you guys so very much. I love starting off with the oath because sometimes we don't realize that we're doing it, and also sometimes we realize that we're scared, and it's just a good reminder that this isn't about winning, this isn't about being better, this is about having fun and learning at the same time. That's it. We're all at different stages, so let's not compare because it's just not a fair comparison.
Yeah.
And also, I actually took a lettering class with the local artist in Sacramento. Her name is Rosara, and she started the lettering class I took. She did an oath of her own. It was different than what we do, but that's how I got this idea. So I just wanted to give her a shout out that I think it makes a difference, and I loved that. And yeah, okay. So let's do our warm-ups. We're getting our round 6. I'm gonna dip it in the water and I'm gonna hit it off the side of the cup. Because with watercolor, if you go straight from water to paper, it's dripping, and we kind of want to not have it be too messy. So the first thing that we are going to do is we're going to do a value change from dark to light, like a transitional change. Value is all about the lightness and darkness of a color. It's not about the hue of the color. But the amazing thing with watercolor is in order to get a lighter value and also a lighter color, you just need to add water. Watercolor is transparent. By adding water, you make the paint more transparent so the white of the paper shows through more. That's why it's lighter. So get your brush wet, hit it off the side. I'm going to grab some paint, doesn't matter which kind. So I'm going to fill the belly of my brush with paint. And then
Belly of the beast.
the belly of this beast here.
The belly of the beast, round 6.
Is your mic-
4,
is your
known
mic
as.
on?
It is.
Oh, good. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to do like a rectangle or a square or a circle, whatever you want. And then almost immediately, I'm going to dip my brush a couple of times, hit it off the side of my cup. Right where I left off, I'm going to keep on moving to the right and then you just kind of keep on going till it gets rough. That's when you're out of water, and then you dip it again, and just kind of keep going this way until you run out of color and it pretty much just turns to water. See how far you can go.
If I could sing, I would have started singing How Far.
How far from Moana? Keenan.
But I don't sing.
Is that how it goes?
I have no idea.
No, that's not right.
I don't know the words.
To any song.
So you can see here that like this is a nice transition from dark to light. Now with watercolor, you got to be careful, because if you're used to kind of messing with things and like you want to just like keep on playing, you can. However, if you do that, like let's say I'm trying to do my light value and then I'm going here, and then if I work this back and forth, this will even out and the color will evenly spread across the water and I will lose my value. So on this square, this is an even value, where this is a transition in value. So just keep that in mind. Usually the more you work something back and forth across the entire space, it's gonna even out. So what I like to suggest when you're blending things out is that's why after I do my dark line and when I start next, I'm not going all the way to the beginning. I'm only starting on the edge and then blending from there. And that way this color all the way to my left stays that same value because I'm not touching it. So, and the reason why I really love this technique is usually how I paint things in general is I like to put my darks in first and then use water to blend them out. And it's just, I love getting a transition like that, because value change and being able to have a full range of value is important when you're creating form. So we're going to practice the same thing. However, we're going to do 3 separate piles. So I want you to practice knowing how much water and paint to have on your brush to get the different values, which is a very tricky concept in general. So if it's a little bit more difficult for you, you're not doing anything wrong. It's just getting used to it, and it's all about practice. So if I want a really dark value, I'm just gonna like dampen my brush, hit it off the side, and pick up a lot of paint. So there's more paint on my paintbrush than water, okay? And there's my dark value. And then, of course, like we did in our transition, I'm going to dip my brush a couple of times and then paint again. And you can see that this is a lighter value. Now, if you were to say like, and then do it again, and that's your lightest value. And you might say like, well, how do I get a light value from the beginning without having to go through all of those steps to get that light value? So if I want a really light value, I'm gonna get my brush pretty wet, I'm gonna hit it off the side of my cup, and then I'm only gonna pick up a little bit of paint. And that's how you can get a light value. Sometimes what you have to do, especially with light values, is you think that you have to have a ton of water in your brush. You don't have to have so much that it's dripping or that it's starting to pool. And if you see that, you can actually use your paper towel to wipe your brush and soak up the excess water, and you can still get a light color. Okay. Now the very last thing that I want us to practice is a wet on dry technique. Actually, we're gonna do 2 different techniques. First, let's start with wet on wet, because that's the funnest one. So,
Yes,
so what I want you to do is get your brush wet, hit it off the side of your cup, and I want you to make a circle using just water. So make sure it's pretty moist, but we don't want it like a thick layer or else the color won't spread that well. So it's nice and wet. Grab some color and drop it in that wet area, and you're gonna see that it's gonna move. Yeah, and this is one of my favorite techniques. And this is actually how I like to do florals. So if I do like a flower petal, what I like to do, let me mix a purple here so you can, gives it a flower feel, is I like to do like one petal with wet paint like so, and then while it's still wet, I'll grab some strong color and drop it in, like right where it meets the center, and that's just gonna blend out and create these really beautiful, amazing textures, colors. And this is where I think watercolor is amazing, because there's such a strong element of accident that it's like wonderful every time you paint because it's not going to look the same, and that's what I love about it. And it's a little bit harder to let go of that, but once you realize that like that's the joy of watercolor, just embrace it. Just embrace that part of it. And that's wet on wet. So you can either do like a wash with a light color and then drop in strong color, or you can do just like water and then drop in color from that. Or you can even just drop in water in general, and that will push the pigment to the outside too. So you can get some cool watercolor textures that way.
Nicole's grandma just said hi. It's Nicole's grandma on YouTube.
Hello, Nicole's grandma.
Her name's Lucy.
Lucy, thanks for watching. We love your granddaughter so much. She's so great. Okay. Now the next thing I'm going to do is the wet on dry, which is if you're looking at our bear, that's how you get some of these kind of detail lines right here, like kind of giving us the illusion of fur or layers of fur. So I want you to switch to your round 2, and we're going to practice those fur textures. So let's pretend that like this is brown, okay, like it's the under part of our painting for our bear. I'm going to grab some more color, and then right on top of it, when it's nice and dry, I can do some marks like so. Now when you do fur, our brain is telling us to make all of the like texture lines the same, like a pattern, because our brains really like patterns and that's what they look for and that's how they communicate. But that's actually not true to nature because hair bunches up in different ways and you're going to see different edges and angles. So when you're doing your fur textures, I like to do a series of strokes, and you can see that not only do they vary in length, some are short, some are long, but I'm also kind of varying like the line of them. I'm not going like that. Like that's maybe a little bit too patterned to how we would actually see hair or fur or any of those things. So just kind of practice these kind of marks. And again, these little fur chunks, they also don't need to be the same. And I run into that problem with myself where I want to make those same kind of like marks across the entire thing. But again, our brain will notice those patterns and it will actually work against us because our brain will pick up that these are all of the same and it will unintentionally flatten our image.
And that's a hairy situation.
And here we go. Yes. All right. I think we're ready to go. Let's get started. So go ahead and move your warm-ups to the side. We're going to start on our bear. And I'll put the reference photo in frame so you guys can see that a little bit better. This is going to be great.
He could say it louder for me.
She's feeding you lines, Keenan. You've got to pay attention.
I'll say it right now. I'll yell it.
Great, Keenan.
Great.
Okay.
That's a tiger, but you know, it works.
It still counts.
It's gonna because
Bear's grr.
Grizzly. I was thinking grizzly.
Grizzly.
Great.
Okay, so go ahead and grab your brush. We're going to start with our very first step, which we're going to put in the color on our face. So if you look around the eyeballs, I kind of have these darker areas on the bottom and around the top here. Those are the shadowed areas. It's really important to have those different values because that's how we communicate the different planes of the face. So usually animals, people, they all have a shadow underneath here, and that's because that's where their eye sockets are. They don't actually have like bone underneath here, so it's not like as sharp as like our cheekbones, our nose comes out. So usually there's always a little bit of shadow right underneath here, and there's usually a highlight right around the eyeball because that is our eyelid. Our eyelid pokes out, so we got to give it a little bit of highlight. So it's like your thing. You're like an actual three-dimensional thing.
Your real thing.
Just naturally have darker circles.
Mama bears for sure have dark circles naturally. Okay, so I'm gonna get my round 6. I'm gonna get some brown, and I like to put my paints along the edge of my palettes and then pull them in the middle to blend. So because this is going to be our shadowed part, usually I like to add in a little bit of color to give it a little bit of darkness. So just a little bit of black. If you do too much black, it will go gray. After I put in black, I also like to do yellow because it just warms it up, and also red because, you know, color. It just gives it a little bit more depth to it while also simultaneously making it darker. So I'm going to go in around my eyes here. Now you got to be careful because on the outline there's actually two. So right underneath the eye is where it's shadowed, and then I have another area where it's the highlight. If you get them mixed up, it's not a huge deal. So don't be mad at yourself because there's a lot of lines. I'll try harder not to do so many lines, but so just start to fill these spaces in. So we have it right underneath the eyes where our sockets are, and then we also have it on the lower, like our cheeks a little bit. And a lot of the reasons why we need to make this a darker value is because we want to communicate that the cheeks are farther away than the snout. So the snout needs to be lighter, and then if you darken up the cheeks, it pushes that back, and that's how we get that spatial, that's how we communicate that there's a spatial difference and they're on two different planes.
Could you say the colors one more time?
Yes, we are using dandelion yellow, rose red, deep blue, sepia, and black. Now I also have some shadow right above my eye, like so.
Sharona says, hope I don't make any faux pas.
That was a good one.
Oh my Sharona.
Is that a song?
Yeah.
Yes!
I'm sure she's heard that
I wish we
before.
could start playing it right now.
I do too.
Ooh, one day.
Well, Keenan should just sing it for us.
Keenan, can you just sing
I
it?
don't know the words.
It has
I watched
Sharona.
Moana this morning and I don't know the words to that song. See?
Now the other thing I kind of want you to pay attention to is if you're looking at the brush strokes that I'm making in general, I'm not, if this is I'll just paint directly on the outline. If this is my section I'm trying to fill in, I'm not just taking my brush and doing this across it. Because actually the direction of your brush stroke when you're painting is actually really informative. So I'm trying to keep that same like wispy line that when we were doing our fur lines, I'm just doing it with my round 6. A little bit more. Okay. So then now what we're going to do is we have some dark values on our cheeks, on our brow, in between on our forehead, and right underneath our eye. And now what we're going to do is similar to what we did in our warm-up. I'm going to rinse my brush a little bit, and I'm just going to start blending out the color. So if you're looking at our reference photo, this is the darkest part here and around the eyes, and then it transitions to a lighter value. So I like to use the color that I put down and use that to blend out.
So you just wet your brush to blend it out?
I just moistened my brush. Do you hate that word? My husband hates that word, moist.
Do you know why I like it?
Why?
Because it makes me think of like a nice moist chocolate cake.
Ooh, maybe that's why I like it.
I do not mind that word because I always think of delicious
Chocolate cake.
chocolate cake.
My mother-in-law makes the best chocolate cake.
You said that about her chocolate chip cookies.
They are the best chocolate
They
chip
are
cookies.
very good. But
I
we
think
can't
I even-
say they're the best. We haven't had every single cookie.
I've had so many cookies.
I'm willing to try.
If you guys think you have the best
every
chocolate chip
single
cookies,
cookie.
please send them in to us.
There was that one time when we could order cookies and have them delivered.
That was-
That one time when we were in that state called Utah.
Utah,
That was great.
or a larger city. Okay, as you're blending out, something that I want you to pay attention to, and this is just something that I personally like to do, so you don't have to do that, but you can see that the color that I'm blending out, it's a little bit dull, and there's nothing wrong with that, but I love it when there's pops of other colors in there. I think it adds visual interest, it makes it more your own. So what I like to do is I wet this area, I blended it out, and then sometimes I'll mix a little bit of my yellow and my red together to get kind of an orange, and I will drop that in there. And now if you just compare these two sides, this has like a warmth and a richness to it that maybe over here and up here over on this side is missing. So when you're blending out colors, feel free to drop in other colors and add a little bit of extra oomph to it to make it, you know, just brighter.
More oomphy.
Melissa said tomorrow is National Chocolate Chip Cookie Day.
We will be.
We
sure
have to celebrate.
That's very sweet.
How many is that? Since we started.
At least 3. 'Cause she
At least 3.
A pun off of another pun.
Yeah. Molly, I love it. I love counting your puns. I think last time we got to 7.
I think that's true.
But I don't want to pressure you. I don't want you to feel like.
It's a lot of pressure. I'll
Don't
be
feel
honest.
that way. We're just expecting a lot. No, I'm kidding.
Okay, what happens if you drop too much of that oomph color?
Oh,
in
yeah.
there?
Okay.
You
Yes. Okay. So Jesse,
got real excited.
you got a little bit of yellow in there. Okay.
Not
There's.
the sun bear.
We're like Winnie the Pooh. Okay. One thing that you can do is you can actually lift out color. So you can just get it a little bit wet.
Ooh.
Okay.
Yeah.
You can take your paper towel. You can do it 2 ways. You can take your paper towel and actually blot, or you can use your paintbrush itself and lift. So you're lifting out color to make the value lighter. Okay, and after you lifted out that heavy color, you can put back in more of the color that you actually want,
So good.
and then just blend it out.
Like it never happened.
And it's like it never happened. And if anything, it adds another layer of color underneath, which is always great.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay.
I would also just like to point out the palette right now because there are some pretty amazing
Oh my gosh,
colors.
look at that. That's so cool right there. Now, what I also would like to tell you about watercolor is there is like, you have to like do this when it's wet, and sometimes I'm talking and you're like, shoot, my thing dried, what do I do? Really sorry about that, I'm working on it. But you can always re-wet the area. So for example, I blended out this dark part, but then my light value already dried. So if I try to put yellow and orange on top of that, it would just sit there. It wouldn't blend out. So what you can do is just take water, go over the area and moisten, re-wet it, maybe that's a better word, and then drop in some of that color. So you can always re-wet the area if it has dried. There's nothing wrong with that.
And if you're slower like me, maybe you can just keep building the layers of fur.
Yeah, just keep building, and that's why I like watercolor. It's so great to do those layers and add on top of it.
You
Molly,
could
that's
say-
looking really nice.
I'm trying to save it.
Why? I think it's beautiful.
You don't. Okay.
What's
thank
wrong?
you.
What?
Well, I'm
What?
just
How can I help
trying
you?
to even it out a little bit.
Okay. Can I say one
It's
thing?
good though. It's fine.
One thing with watercolor too is like as we're blending this out, then you might totally blend out your dark value.
Yeah.
That's normal and that's okay. You can always go on top and redefine that dark value after it has dried a little bit.
That's true.
So don't let it trip you up.
All right.
Okay.
Thanks.
Because I'll probably for sure do a couple more dark layers. And that's just the nature of watercolor, and you're working with wet surfaces, is they're going to want to blend into each other, and that's okay. Don't get mad about it. They're just doing what they are supposed to do. And we can just do another layer on top, and it's great.
Just trying to keep the work here at a bare minimum.
Work here what?
At a bare minimum. I can't say the word minimum.
Bare
very well.
minimum.
I'm like minimum.
Minimum.
Okay.
So I'm just going in and I'm putting a little bit more drops of color into some of these places. And then when you do like the highlighted areas, like in between the eye socket and the cheekbones, I'm kind of just using a damp brush and just going over it a little bit. You don't want to work this area too much because you want to keep that light value there. Now, another thing I would like to say is when you're ready to do, like I'm looking at this and my brain is like, it's too light up at the top. You need to do darker layers and darken that up. And I'm just gonna tell my brain to like calm down. I'm gonna get there. Because if you try and do it when it's really wet, that dark value will automatically bleed out over the wet area. So if you wanna do a second layer of a darker value, wait till it's dry, and then that way it will stay in the area that you want it to stay in. Blake Lynn asks, when you drop in color, do you drop in a watered down color? Honestly, I mix it up. So sometimes I'll get my brush wet, I'll grab just a tiny bit of color and just do a soft color wash on top. Or if I'm feeling really like gutsy, like let's just do this, you know, let's go for it, I'll drop in some strong color. But if I'm doing strong color, it will mostly be in the orange area and not in the yellow. Because like a big blotch of yellow could potentially be distracting. So I'm gonna like try and stay within the browns for it to feel a little bit more like it's together, and brown is essentially dark orange. So that's why I'd wanna do more strong of orange because it blends a little bit better with brown and they like, you know, kind of live in that same world. Okay. Very nice. I love that color you got right there of that yellow.
It's not too yellow distracting there.
No, that's exactly what we want. We want like, sometimes if you can look at an area that color was added and you can tell that there's color, you think that that's bad. No, that's okay. You know, like that's what we want. It gives it that color depth that we're looking for. So my top area is pretty dry, so I'm going to go back in and put in some of these darker values again. Keenan, tell me a fact about bears.
Yeah, we're
Bears
concentrating too hard
beats
here.
Battlestar Galactica.
Bears beats Battlestar Galactica.
That's right.
I have a friend that really likes bears, and she just recently got to go to Bear World for the first time, and it was amazing.
Where's
And she sent me
Bear-
a lot of
Bear
really cool
World?
pictures.
Bear
In
World?
Idaho. Mm-hmm.
What does that consist of?
Trees and bears.
Are they live or are they fake?
They're alive.
They're
And she-
alive.
And she got to see some baby bear cubs.
Oh.
Oh,
Are you in a safe, enclosed area? Are they fenced? I'm just so interested to know more about
They're
Bear
watching
World.
you.
They're watching you.
Black bears can run at a speed up to 35 miles per hour.
Whoa.
do not try to run away from a bear.
What do you do when you see a bear? I've heard two different things. That you're supposed to like play dead or you're supposed to like
Fetal position.
fetal position.
I don't know.
I
Look
heard
'em in the
Don't
eye.
run.
Just
Do
kidding.
not run and do not climb trees.
don't climb trees, don't run. I also heard it's the type of bear that you encounter should depend on what you do.
If it's a bear with her cub,
Ju-
you're dead.
Molly's like, there's
Mama
no
bear.
hope.
What about pandas?
Pandas.
Pandas are just peaceful creatures.
I've got a what to do.
Oh yeah, tell me.
If you encounter a bear on the trail or in your campsite, stop what you are doing and evaluate the situation.
Okay.
Identify yourself by speaking in a calm, appeasing tone. If you could sound like a taco, that would be preferred. I added that, just kidding.
Okay. I'm like, where are you reading this from?
Back away slowly, preferably in the direction you came. Walk, don't run, and keep your eye on the bear so you can see how it will react.
Somebody just said that you're supposed to make a lot of noise. I think you're supposed to make yourself as big as possible.
You're trying to fight the bear.
No, because you want to like be a threat, so they
If you're
want to
going
leave.
to be a threat to a bear, you're a large person.
That will
Bears
not
stand up
work
on their
for
hind
me.
legs, not work for Sarah at all.
Could make some hamburgers and
Oh, yeah. Just make it some dinner. You're
All it wants is food.
Yeah.
Why are you being selfish? Why can't you just share?
How do you think?
Baloo from the
Baloo?
Jungle Book
Yeah.
is a sloth bear.
Oh my gosh, sloths are my favorite.
Have you seen that video with Kristen Bell and the sloth?
Yes.
Recently, I'd like to share this story.
Girl.
Recently, Sarah created a tasks thing for me to do, to complete some things. And I said, what if we prioritize it, but don't tell me how to prioritize it, and I'll guess what you choose. So she chose 3 random animals. One was a sloth. One was an anteater. I don't remember the third.
A llama.
A llama.
And I'm like, here are your 3 animals.
And I had to guess which one was the highest priority.
And I'm like, if you get this wrong, Keenan, I'm going to be so mad.
I got it wrong. Now you guys have to guess which one it is.
What do you think is the highest priority? Sloth, for me.
Yeah.
Sloth, llamas, anteater.
I'm gonna say that order.
Well, almost.
Well,
Almost.
The bets are in.
That was an astute observation, Molly. Okay, so hopefully we're kind of closing in on coloring the face portion of our bear. If you're not quite done yet, or it's not where you want it to be, don't worry about it. We're only on step 1, you guys. We have time to adjust it. And actually, sometimes it's better to work quickly and step away from it for a second and work on something else, so then you don't overwork it, or you're not thinking too hard. Sometimes if you make decisions like easily or quickly, then it's much easier to figure out where you should go and you're not as scared. So we're gonna move on. We're gonna move on to step 2, and we are gonna now do the snout. So if you're looking at our snout here, if you're paying attention to the values, the sides are a darker value, but they're still lighter than the cheeks, okay? So I wanna make that distinction. The lightest value is gonna be on the very top of the nose or the snout, because it's actually like flat, and that's what's sticking out, and that's what the light is hitting. So again, I wanna point out darkest value, medium value, light value. You need to have a distinction between those 3 in order to give your bear a sense of 3-dimensionality. Is that a word? Yeah. Jesse says it is, so
It is now.
Okay.
I'm picking up what you're putting down.
Good, thanks. Okay, so I'm going to start with my like medium values on the side of the nose. And sometimes a trick that I use in order to, because when you're playing this game of trying to like distinguish the values, something that you can do is slightly distinguish color, and that will help with the difference between those different planes. So I added a little bit more orange to this, and that way when I put it in, it's clear that it's a different space than what's on the cheeks. So I'm gonna put in kind of my brown orange on the sides. And then on the bridge of the nose, so kind of at the top. And then I like to take my water and blend. So I'm only gonna do like 1 swoop on this like flat area of the nose, this square right here. I wanna make sure that this stays really, really light. And then blend down all the way to the mouth. Now again, I started with an orangier color, but still the color, I just want more of it. So I'm gonna do a little bit of a more yellower wash in there. Gosh, I love yellow so much. It just warms up a painting so quickly. So again, the sides of the snout are where there's the most of this kind of value, this darker value here, and the bridge. Because if you even like think of your own faces or your pets or your dog's faces, the beginning of the nose is back here. It's very similar to the same level of your eye, so it's usually a darker value than as your nose goes out. So this is usually the darker value, and then it lightens up as your nose moves out from your face. Keenan just went.
I was adjusting my glasses.
There's nothing wrong with it. I always touch my face as I'm painting things to try and understand what I'm painting. And I know it feels weird, but it's actually really helpful.
That makes sense.
Yeah, because then it's just like, okay, that makes sense why these. Because if you feel your face, it gives you a better idea of all of the things that are going on underneath it and all the different surfaces. So just like, all right.
Yeah, we can't touch a bear.
Yeah. When we paint the golden retriever, if you have a dog, super helpful to touch their face and like think of what it's like to pet them and their skull that you feel underneath their fur.
They
and all
would
that
probably
stuff.
appreciate it too. It's like a small massage.
They would love it.
Maybe a little confused.
No way.
No way.
I'm going to do like a reddish. Do a slightly more like this red color in there. I just need it.
I like sharing a palette with you. 'Cause it's just,
Michael says the same thing when he paints with me when he comes on the live. Okay, so I have my snout, different values going on. And I'm gonna do a little shadow right underneath the nose. And actually, usually there's, if you look at animals, dogs, a bunch of different kinds, there is usually a slight discoloration on their mouths right underneath their nose. And usually it's a little bit darker. So I'm gonna take like a tiny, tiny bit of like black and mix it in with brown so I get kind of a grayish brown. And I'm gonna do a little like lip shadow here. It kind of looks like a mustache a little bit.
which brown were you using?
So I grabbed a little bit of black and then pulled a little bit of brown from here, and I'm mixing on the wall of my palette right now. Use all the surfaces. Or you can do the same thing using like a darker brown just to like darken that a little bit, because the nose is casting a shadow on the mouth, and also there is a different coloration depending on the animal. And then I'm also going to just use a little, that brown that we've been using to do the bottom part of the mouth. And we'll go in and define that mouth line later. I don't want to do that now because this is really wet. If I try and put in a black line right now, it will blend out and not be sharp, which is not, you know, super helpful at this moment. So I'm just going to let that dry for a second.
Just gotta be patient.
Yep.
Ooh, it's hard.
It is hard. It's hard. Also, watercolor is funny because some things you have to do while it's wet and some things you have to do when it's dry. So it's understandable if
I
it
just
gets
like
confusing.
painting puddles of water and dropping paint in it.
Who doesn't love that?
I don't know.
That's my favorite.
Disgusting if they don't.
Best thing. Okay,
What time is it when a bear is chasing you?
what time is it when a bear is chasing you? What?
I don't know yet.
Oh,
She's left me hanging.
you left us all hanging.
Oh, that is answer 3 after 1.
3 after 1. I want to get it so bad.
I don't understand.
Keenan, maybe you should see the answer. You guys, I screwed it up. I said it wrong. Keenan, I'm really glad you're here.
Oh, me too.
Okay, let's go ahead and start on step 3. We are going to move on to the neck. So what I want you to pay attention on this is that, oh man, the video keeps on cutting off. I saw that too. That happened on mine. Maybe our internet connection's being a little funny right now.
Well, it's kind of
a weird color outside, so I think a storm might be rolling in, so that may be something going on.
Okay, we'll watch it. Yeah, people are saying losing the stream. Did it pause?
Oh, yeah, I
Sorry,
actually-
guys.
I just got a warning on our end saying broadcast internet speed is low.
Okay.
So
We'll just, how are we on YouTube?
seem to be all right.
Yep, you're doing right.
To accent that
Now,
part. Okay.
just wait for it to dry. I'll just keep on trucking on.
Yeah, our internet's just going real slow.
Okay. So when you do the neck part, the biggest thing I want you to pay attention to is the dark value that's right underneath the face and the mouth. And we need that there because that is what's going to separate our face from our chest. It's farther away from us. The face itself is casting a shadow. So if we made these the same value, then it would look like that our face just went straight into our chest and it was like this. So that's why you have to differentiate those values to show that there's actually depth. So go ahead and get some brown, and we're gonna make this pretty dark. So grab some black, grab some yellow, grab some red. If you wanna grab some blue, let's see what that does. That's good. If you do too much blue, it might turn green. But if that happens, put red in there. Okay. Yeah, please do. So I'm going to go in with my dark value, and right underneath the mouth and face is where it's gonna be darkest, because that's just how shadows are. The furthest point away, or right where it's casting the shadow, is where it's gonna be darker, and then the value transitions to a lighter value.
YouTube is very low quality.
Dang. Sorry, guys.
It'll later be much better quality, but that doesn't help us right now. I'm so sorry. I shouldn't have even said anything. Who brought that sky in here?
That made me laugh. Okay. So, and I personally like to mix colors as I go. That is, I think it's more of a personality trait of being like, just go for it. Some people aren't that way, and I'm so sorry that I am. Because
Sorry for who you are. Really sorry.
well, it's probably frustrating for them because they're like, I ran out of that color and I now have to mix it and it's slightly different. And I'm here to tell you, don't stress about something like that, because it's really not a huge deal. Variation in color is always a good thing, and it shouldn't be so different that it makes like a huge difference. You know what I mean? Like if your brown is slightly more red on this side and then not as red on the other side, like don't get mad about that and don't get frustrated, because that happens to me all the time, and you just kind of like go with it.
Well, I really like this brown that you mixed.
Oh, thanks.
Even though we're going with it, I'm really into it.
Okay, so once I got my shadow down, I'm going to, so I kind of go halfway out with that dark value, and then we're using that water to blend and transition out. And I really want because this is kind of like a bust portrait, so I want it to almost like transition to a really, really light value to give it the appearance of like a fade in or something like that. If you make the line of where it starts really dark and abrupt, then it's gonna feel a little bit more like it was cut and pasted, where if you kind of let it transition out, and again, you can go past your outline, that's gonna give it a little bit more of a, like a fade in feel, which is, I think, really cool. But again, this is your painting, this is your life. If you like the super strong line, like go for it. You have absolutely every single right to make it look however you want.
I need to get busy over here.
You gotta paint quick. You gotta paint quick. And oh, a little tip. When you're using round brushes, if you want to get a thicker line, like fill it in faster, use a horizontal hold and use the side and full belly of your brush to make those brush strokes. It will make the brush strokes thicker, and then it will just fill in the space faster. Don't try and like use the little tip of your brush to fill in such a big area, only because like that takes a really long time. So make it easier on yourself and just like go for it.
That is helpful.
I have to confess something that I just did that I think is very silly.
What did you do?
At some point, somehow, I focused completely on on Molly's bear for the side shot. I was like, oh, she's explaining the side brush, perfect. And I zoomed right in on Molly's bear instead.
That's okay. That's embarrassing.
I love how you guys repeat it every time.
Because if they missed it, they missed out on such a
Yes.
good joke.
We like to share.
They need to hear it. And again, when you fade out, just be careful. I'm seeing myself do it, which is why I'm bringing it up. All of these marks are almost the same. See, it's like a pattern. Bump, 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 bump. So when that happens, what I've noticed that, I like to take my brush and just smooth it out. And then have like maybe one poking out. Like mess it up on purpose. And again, this is literally what our brain tells us to do. So don't be mad at yourself for value. Okay, so just know that I see this and I'm like just gonna leave it there for a second and it's gonna be okay. And this is where you like hear the first couple of steps that you start to think, oh no, my bear isn't looking how I want it to yet, blah, blah, blah. And you wanna stop. Don't stop halfway through in this project. So I know it's sometimes hard to tell the difference between the flower and the ear, so don't get mad if you switch them up. It's really not a big deal. It's your painting. But the ear part is this area here and here, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a really dark brown. I'm going to do like the center of my ear, which is going to be darker in value anyway because it goes in, like into your head. Maybe I can say that a different way.
Right out the outside of the flower?
Yeah, so right at the outside of the left flower, and then on the right side, it's right by the like 3 berry flowers.
Berry.
And then of course, take some color and blend.
Right there?
Yeah. Yeah, storms are coming for sure. That's why this is happening. Oh, Missouri and your storms. They're beautiful though.
When did we get to the ears?
We're doing them simultaneously with the neck on step 3.
Okay, and what did you do after you put the dark value in?
I just used water and blended out and then dropped in a little bit. See how there's like red there, or you can do yellow. I dropped in a little bit of color while it was nice and wet. And this one, it's like, don't get too detailed with this. This is just kind of giving enough information that we can tell that it's ears and that's it. We're not going to go super crazy on all the things. Molly, you have such great fur textures.
Thanks.
And look at that.
I didn't notice that. Thank
I
you.
love it.
You think so?
Yeah, I would leave that.
She's been swimming.
It's your
recently.
painting, but I wouldn't touch that.
Okay, I won't touch it. I'll make it happy.
I feel like it's finally warming up where I'm like not tense. It took this long for me not to be tense.
That's okay. Okay. Beautiful, beautiful. You guys are doing great.
Do bears really like honey, or is that a thing?
I think bears do really like honey.
Like all kinds of bears, or?
Keenan?
Stand by.
I just want to know if that's a universal.
That's valid, a valid
Thanks.
question. So I'm kind of taking this opportunity right now. If you have it, if you don't, that's okay. You can do this at a later time. I'm just softly blending out my face to the white edges.
Wait, what? Oh, like if we have gaps?
If
in
you
the
have
shapes?
gaps.
What does it matter what color? Or just use water?
I mean, I'm just using water and the color that's already there to blend.
Are you ready for the honey fact?
Yes, I am.
Bears do love honey and are attracted to beehives. But unlike in Winnie the Pooh, the bears eat more than just honey.
Do they eat the bees?
They will also consume the bees and larvae inside the beehive, which are a good source of protein. Both brown and black bears will raid beehives.
Wow.
And they don't care about getting stung, or maybe
I
they're
have-
just tough like that.
Maybe it's like pop rocks for
Keenan
them.
fact, they're immune. What do they like?
Pop rocks. You
Interesting.
know how they like pop in your mouth? Maybe something like that.
Just like stinging your tongue the whole way down?
Yeah.
Oh.
That sounds terrible.
Sarah, quick
Yeah.
question.
Yeah.
This ear does not match my bear's fur. I don't know what. Do I need
Okay.
to I need.
Yeah, okay, this is what you can do. First of all, I would like to point out, first and foremost, that my left ear also does not match my bear in the reference photo. This
Okay.
brown is clearly more red, and this is clearly more yellow.
Okay.
So you can
That
either
makes me feel.
like not let it bother you and not be mad about it, or you can be like, what color is this looking more like? And what I would suggest maybe is putting little hints of like a reddish tint
Yeah.
in some of these places.
Why not?
And then now, I didn't even ask if I can paint on that, I'm sorry.
It's totally fine.
So that's what I would do. If that's making you feel a little bit insecure, like it doesn't belong, which I think it does, but if it's bothering you, do a little bit of red throughout
Got
the
it.
browns. Do a soft wash of red,
All right.
and that will help it feel a little bit more
Thanks.
cohesive.
Thank you.
Okay. So, yeah, you guys are doing great.
Yellows,
Yes.
to
Yes. Great. I love the different textures that you're getting on your bear. I hope that they're not stressing you out because I think they're really cool.
Well, I kind of went for it when you were talking about texture in the beginning, and then
Yeah.
I thought, no, too far. But
Okay, then one thing really quick. If you are getting a lot of different, we call them blooms. If you're getting a lot of hard lines from a lot of different layers of water going on, first of all, I love them, so please don't be mad at them because that's what makes watercolor special. But if they're getting to the point where you feel like they're getting a little bit crazy, what I like to do sometimes to help soften them is I will take a damp brush and just blend out where it's harsh, like that strong line, just to soften it. It won't erase it completely, but if there's a couple in there where you're just like, that is all I can see and it's driving me nuts, take a damp brush, blend that line out, and it will lighten it or soften it just a little bit, which helps. Okay. So now we are ready to do step 4. We're doing our black areas, and the rest of the painting is going to go fairly quick now. So you guys are rock stars for sticking with us and doing this.
Rock stars.
Rock stars. My mom always said that to me. You're a rock star. I say it to my girls. Do you have phrases like that that you
makes me
tell your
think of-
girls?
I tell Brock he's a rock star.
That's amazing.
That's fair.
I've been asking Vita why she's a freeloader lately,
Oh,
and
not
she's
the
like,
same
"You're a
thing.
freeloader."
How old is she?
2,
2.
but she says like freeloader. You a freeloader.
That's really great. Okay, so we are going to do the black areas on our painting, which is pretty much the eyes and the nose and the mouth line. So I'm going to start with my eyes. I'm switching to my round 2, which is my smaller brush, because when you're doing smaller areas, you want to use smaller brushes, bigger areas, bigger brushes.
You're doing the eyes.
I'm going to do the eyes. Oh, should I turn my painting so they can see? I'm willing, but I need
That kind of work.
What do you
Our
need?
special roll of
yeah, we
labels.
need our roll of labels.
Our multi-use label roll.
This is the most effective roll of labels I've ever
I've
seen.
used it so many times for just various things. Sorry, Molly, I'm gonna
Oh, it's good.
eliminate you from seeing this for a minute.
We'll be good.
Okay.
May I borrow the reference photo?
Yeah.
Thank
Okay.
you.
So we have our outline for our eyes. And we're gonna grab our black. So then I'm just going to, are we good on the close-up?
We are good. I'm gonna change just one thing and we're set.
So these eyes on our bear just have one little glare, tiny glare on the outside, and it's a small little circle. There is like a secondary circle in there, and I don't know if we, let me
You need to look at this.
yeah, let me look at this to make sure that what I did. Okay, so what I did for that is I left that space white also. So I'm gonna go in with my black, and I'm gonna fill in my eyeball, but then leave those 2 circles white.
This is where they should pause if the internet is bad still.
Pause.
and let it load.
Pause.
That was unintentional.
He's that good. Okay, well, I forgot to outline those little glares.
Okay.
We can just wing it or what?
Absolutely, you can just wing it. Or what you can do is you can just leave one tiny dot at the top, more towards the outside, and that will just act as the glare. This secondary dot down here, I'm just gonna make a light gray, because even when eyes appear totally black, there's still usually a value change within the eye itself. And so sometimes I like to, if you did our bunny tutorial, it's the same thing and it gave that eyeball a little bit more dimension because we put in a slightly different value. But if you didn't leave that in there and you painted this entire thing black, that's totally fine too. You're still gonna communicate the same thing, so don't stress. So I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Now I have little spaces around my eyes. That's where I left that space for the eyelids. I'm going to leave them white for a little bit longer. Okay, now I'm going to move to the nostrils. So I'm going to use just pure black for the nostril part. The nostril itself should be the darkest area because it's going inside of the nose. Do you need to move the camera down to get the nose, or you already did that?
I got the nose.
Okay, great. So the other thing about the bare nose is there's 3 different sections. The very top right here is actually going to be a light value, and I put a little bit of blue in there because even black have undertones of other colors. The darkest value is going to be right in between the nostrils, and then it lightens up at the bottom again. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab black. Sorry, Molly.
Right now your nose looks like the Thomas the Train or whatever it's called. An eye, the little mouth.
It totally does. Okay.
He's terrified, but he's there.
So I'm mixing a little bit of black with my blue to get a gray blue color or dark. It's still going to be more black than blue, so it's not a navy, but we still want that hint of blue underneath it. And I'm going to take that blue to do the in between the nostrils here. So this kind of little area that I have outlined.
Don't mind me, I'm just
Trying to see what I'm doing.
I'm
Sorry,
just
Molly.
being nosy.
Yeah, it's like a T shape in there.
Here you go, Molly.
Thanks.
Oh, actually, that's really helpful.
Sweet. Thanks, Keenan.
And then I'm going to use just a tiny bit of water to blend out the rest of the nose. Now, in the outline, there's a slight section right underneath the nostril that I outlined. That's to leave it white, and that's going to act as our glare because noses are wet. So there's usually a little bit of glare to them to communicate moisture. So that's why that...
Noses are wet due to snot.
Is it?
I thought
I have
that's
no
how
idea.
they stay cool.
No.
Saliva?
No.
Honey?
Yeah, that's it. That's it. Okay. Sorry. So I'm kind of filling this out. Now you might have to go back in and re-darken that T area. Nothing wrong with that. I'm not going to do that quite yet. So there's the bottom of my nose. Now I'm going to rinse my brush one more time and do the top area of my nose so it's lighter. And actually the side of my nose, even the top area, is dark also.
All right, you gotta slow it down.
Okay, I will slow down. Thank you for telling me that. I'm always I'm just tell me to slow down if I'm going too fast.
Okay.
Okay.
So I got the T area and I started,
And then do the top area, all that light value. And after I put in that light value, I put this dark blue in on the sides. and then kind of like blend it out a little bit. And that gives us a little bit more sense of the roundness of the nose itself, that it rounds up.
I'm gonna get darker on the side, right?
Yep. Similar to how we did the snout, same idea. It's round in shape, that's why it's darker on the sides and highlight at the top.
But if you're still trying to practice the shading, it kind of goes slower, so
Yeah.
it's hard.
And it is hard, and it's just, if this is, if you can't get it, don't be mad at it. Like, people will still tell that it's a nose if you get this part or not, so don't stress. Also, if you look at our giraffe painting, the nose 1000% just looks like a frog, and it makes me laugh every single time. Have you seen it, Keenan?
Is it that one behind you?
Yeah, but I think even the one the project is more obvious, that it's like straight up just a frog. It's so funny.
I'll have to look into it
Please do.
in my free time.
It's really important for your job.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you ever just squint so you can see the value?
Yes. And that is a trick I've been trying to communicate, and people don't understand what I'm talking about. Al used to look at me like I was such a fool. This is a trick that we use. I know it sounds weird, but it's so helpful. If you're trying to distinguish between values of what areas are dark and what areas are light, if you squint your eyes or unfocus or defocus? Unfocus your eyes, then it's way more obvious what areas are dark and light.
Well, just so so it blurs the details, you can just see the value.
It's just, yeah, you just are seeing values. That's it. So like, I know it sounds counterproductive, but just like squint, or I'll unfocus, and then the darks of something will pop out more, or the lights of something will pop out more. Keenan, I see you doing it. Is it working? Do you know what we're talking about?
I'm trying to.
I feel like some people squint so the light doesn't come in,
Yeah.
but you still can see it. But you almost have to close your eyes until it gets blurry.
So I was trying to just like pretend like something was much closer to my face and focus on that.
So
my eyes go out of focus, almost like crossing your eyes.
yeah, it's weird because you're trying to see something without actually focusing and looking at it,
Yeah.
which I know sounds weird, but it's really, really helpful when you're trying to determine the different values.
So don't focus on the details.
Somebody said that she'll just take off their reading glasses.
Perfect.
Their readers.
Also, getting farther away from it helps.
Yeah, getting farther away, taking pictures of it, all of those are great tools.
I used to have a teacher that would say, "Looks good from the road."
Looks good from the road.
I never knew how to take that. I was like, what are you trying to say right now?
Okay. I feel pretty good about my nose.
I'm trying to.
At least somebody here feels good about that.
And
Great nose.
and again, sometimes it's taking a step away from it, moving on to another area, and then coming back to it. Sometimes looking at things with fresh eyes, it's so much more helpful than you might think. So if you're getting frustrated with one area, my advice to you, move on to a different one, come back to it.
You gotta get really far away for me to like that.
Okay. So
Oh, that looks good. Okay.
You just
See
start
it right
tossing
here.
that roll of labels.
I'm just gonna throw it. What if I just like threw it at that shelf? We would
Try to
all
throw
go
it.
down.
Oh,
The shelf would fall, then the cameras would get hit.
It would be a mess. Okay, let's do our flowers now. We're moving on to step 5. You guys, we're almost done with this bear. Stick with it.
Yay.
Molly, your nose is looking so good. If anything, I would just tighten up move the color a little more so the glares are a little bit smaller.
Yeah, I was trying
tighten
to
up.
maybe soften that up a little bit.
Perfect. Okay,
Stuff.
so now we're going to do the flowers. Now I mixed purple for this. However, if you have the subscription, you have purple in there. Or maybe you just have, maybe you want pink flowers or blue flowers or no flowers at all. It's your painting. Feel free to customize it.
Or a crown.
Or a real crown, not a floral crown. Is that
Yes.
what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay. So
I don't know.
to make purple, I'm going to grab a little bit of my rose red. I'm going to grab a little bit of my blue. If I want more of a blue purple, then I'm going to have more blue. If I want more of a pink purple, I'm going to have more red. And I mixed 2 different purples for this because if you look at the, can I see that for a second? The reference, I have some pink purples going on, I have some blue purples going on, and I have some like just normal purples going on. So don't be afraid to mix it up. So what I'm going to do for this first flower is I mixed my color that I want, then I rinsed my brush because I'm going to make this a light value, and if I didn't rinse my brush, I would have had a really dark value. And I'm just going to do a soft, like a light pinky purple color. I'm going to fill in my flower. And I want this to be nice and wet because when it's nice and wet like this, I'm going to take some strong color and just drop it in.
I like that.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, Amy said, when we did the truck, you talked about how making the background flowers lighter make them look further away. Would you please explain how that's different from the lightness of the bear's nose? I'm confusing myself. Amy, excellent question. Excellent, excellent question. So when you think of values, you need to consider 2 things. You need to consider where your light source is coming from and also atmospheric perspective. So when you're trying to communicate that things are farther away from you, then if you make it a lighter value, then that gives the sense that actually how we see things in nature, where mountains far away or like trees far away or birds far away, they get lighter in value because there's actually like air in between there, and that's how we communicate that. With this bear, that's not what we're trying to communicate. What we're focusing on is simply the light source. So if my light source, if this is my, I'm gonna like pinch up my nose a little bit.
You want me to zoom in?
Please, please. No, but like if my bear nose comes out like this and my light source is from the top, then right on the very top of my nose right here, that's where it's gonna be light. And then this ridge is where it starts to like go under. And then right where it starts to go under is where it's darkest, and then it transitions to a lighter value, which is why we have light, dark, medium, light again. So that's just how the nose is shaped, and so we're paying more attention to where the light is, and we're not trying to communicate that depth of space. So that's where values are a little bit funny because they're used for different purposes at different times. Okay. Oh yeah, let's, Keenan, can you move the little picture-in-picture?
Yes.
Because it's right over the purple that I'm mixing. Maybe put it in the bottom right of the bear,
Okay.
since we're not working on that area. Thank you, Charla, for asking us to do that. Okay,
Really didn't
Oh,
know where they would rather
that's
have it.
beautiful. Yes, okay. So keep on going on. You can mix whatever purples you want in whatever colors. I'm just gonna keep going with my purpley theme. I'm gonna grab a little bit more of this red. So this one I'm gonna do like slightly darker purple. It's not as pink as the first one, and that's okay. And I like to do my strong center while it's nice and wet, because this is where it's fun. This is where it gets a mind of its own, and it's so great. Can I have that reference photo back,
Yes,
please?
thank you.
Let's put it in between us. Okay, so I can use the same purple that I just used and do this kind of side flower here. And I know this flower looks a little bit funny, but try and keep in mind that we're looking at this flower from the side, and it's foreshortened, and that's why, like these ones, it's like we're looking at it overhead. This one, it's turning away from us. So we're seeing this like bottom petal and then the top one's over at the top.
I don't think I outlined that right now. Which way?
It's right here.
That's the flower?
Yep.
Oh, I thought it was a leaf. Okay, got it.
It can be a leaf if you want it to be a leaf. It's your life.
I want it to be a flower.
Okay, good. And then this side flower on the left, I'm going to make a little bit more pink. Ooh, that's a pretty color. Is that thunder I'm hearing?
That's thunder.
Yeah, that storm is coming in. Okay, now for my little smaller flowers, I decided to make them a little bit more blue, just for variation, and also because it reminds me of berries. And don't you think of berries when you think of bears? Don't they eat berries? That's got to be right.
Baloo did.
Baloo did for
That's
sure.
the most accurate bear movie I've ever seen.
So, so when you're doing these flower, like these smaller ones, something that I like to do is like do them in like different strokes, and they don't have to like fill in. So you're leaving some like white spaces a little bit, and that kind of can communicate layers of petals, which can be really helpful with flowers. Or if you want them to be like solid, they're still gonna look like flowers. Like, have you guys seen those like really pretty, I've been seeing them a lot in bouquets lately, where they're little pink and peach buds that are off branches. Like, these can be those. Like, there's so many different things going on that it can't be wrong, so don't stress. And I'm gonna leave the centers blank because I'll go back in and put yellow in there, or black. I'll do both.
I love that indigo color.
I know, isn't that so good?
Where did you put blue on this palette?
I didn't give you blue. I'm just kidding, it's right there.
Oh, there. That's right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Now to mix green for our leaves, you just mix yellow and a little bit of blue. And then depending on, actually let me clear a space so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so if I take some yellow and a little bit of blue, I have a nice green. And now I can put some leaves in. And of course, this is where I'm like, you don't have to follow the outline exactly. If you want more leaves or more flowers or different than what I have for you, you absolutely have that creative freedom to make it your own. And also keep in mind that it's just a piece of paper. So if you just want to try something just to see, like, I have this idea, I wonder if it will work, just try it. I mean, like, the worst thing that's going to happen is you're going to throw this away, which in the scheme of things,
Not a big deal.
not a big deal. And you can always paint another one.
I like to test it out on a separate paper before I put it on here sometimes.
That's such a great idea,
Whenever I
Molly.
have more time and
Yeah, when I'm not forcing you to paint as fast as you possibly can.
Do you want to do a quick check-in?
Yes. Well,
Or are we pretty close?
we're pretty close to being done.
Okay.
It was a quick request, but
I should have done a check-in earlier.
it's okay.
Sorry, guys. But we are pretty close to being done.
ooh.
What's
Blue
wrong?
and yellow make green, right?
Yeah, blue and yellow make green.
Oh, maybe I just need more yellow in there? Why does it look like baby poop?
Maybe
This
it
is
needs
a
more
great-
clean water.
this
That
is-
sometimes happens to me.
Well, I think what happened is if you look at her blue, it actually mixed in with her red, which gave it a purple tint. Purple and yellow are not mixable colors. They're complementary colors, which
Right.
means it's going to give it a muddy color.
Right.
So I think probably a little bit of fresh blue and a little bit of fresh yellow, and you'll get that green color.
That's not looking so bad now, but it was.
No, that's a great,
It was
like that's a
not
nice
good.
olivey green. I'm actually
Yeah,
going
I'll
to steal
take
some
it.
of that.
Okay.
I love olivey greens. Okay. Yes. What's up?
Oh, nothing. I'm good.
You good?
Yep.
Okay.
I thought this was a leaf.
Jesse thought the same thing.
Okay.
It does kind of look like a leaf.
No, leaf assumption.
And you'll notice here as I'm looking at this where there's a lot of white spaces in between my flowers and where it meets the bear, and that's totally normal to have those. What I like to do after I place everything is then I will go back in and kind of just fill in those white spaces, similar to what we did with the face of our bear. So I can go in with some browns, and wherever there's like big white gaps that I think are kind of distracting, I'll put in a little bit of brown there. And sometimes I leave some white gaps too. Like if you look at the reference photo, right underneath this big flower, there's some white space on this left-hand side, on this right-hand side. So if you leave a little bit here and there, it's not a big deal. I did forget the mouth line on the face. Charlene, thank you for reminding me. I'll go in and do that. Okay. So I filled in my brown areas, and it's perfect that we're actually grabbing black again because I'm gonna put in the center of my flowers, and then we can go do the mouth line of the bear. So for the center of my flowers, I just did a black center. You can do yellow if you want. And then after I did my center, I just did dots surrounding it. Like that. And I let them overlap and run into each other and kind of give it that random look. You don't have to do the dots if you don't want to. I just love that little extra element of detail. I think it adds something. But again, this is your painting. You can make it however you want. Now when we do the side flowers, you're only going to do half the center of the flower because the bottom petal is covering it up. And then you're only going to do the left, like on the left flower, you're only going to do the left-hand side with dots. Now with my little, yes, Jody, she asked about the white part around the eyes. We're not there just yet. Just give me a second, I'll get there. So for the mouth line, I'm just gonna take my round 2, do a vertical hold for a thin line.
Will you push your paper up just a little bit?
Yep.
Thank you.
Put it right there. I'm gonna do a thin line, kind of following that shape. And if your brush is too dry, it's not gonna make a smooth line. Just re-wet it. Go over it again, just like that. Oh, she has a little smile. And then what I'm going to do, since I have a little bit of black on my brush, I'm gonna create that, I'm gonna just use a tiny bit of black and kind of put that mouth shadow in a little bit stronger. If you don't wanna do this part, you don't have to, but I was just looking at it and it didn't look like a darker value, so I'm just gonna do that now.
And if you put too much water, you just dab it, right?
Yep, just pick up that excess water with your paper towel or your brush.
I'm here to be the example of what not to do and what to do after you did that.
I do things like that too, all the time. Oh, she has a soft little smirk going on. That's cute. You can also put in, like my berry flowers, I'm going to put yellow in the center on those.
Will you bring that back down
Yep,
for the flowers? Thank you.
you're welcome. And then the very last step, so this is the last step here. I call it details. Maybe I should think of something else because really what we're doing, we're gonna go in, we're gonna fix the eyes, but then also remember to take a step back from your painting, step away from it for a second, take a picture of it, or go like eat something for a while and then come back and look at it, because taking a step away from it will help you figure out if there's anything else you need to adjust. So for the eyes, what I'm going to do is, finishing touches. Great, done. You guys are so wonderful.
People are just coming in clutch tonight.
I know. Okay, so if you look at our reference, I have a really thin white line on the bottom and barely there on the top. Do you see that? Barely there. So mine are really, really thick right now. So I'm just gonna go in with a dark brown and tighten up those thin white lines and shape them a little bit more. So there's one on the bottom and then a tiny, tiny, tiny one on the top. And they're more noticeable like on the inside of the eye, like a little bit thicker on the inside and then on the bottom lid.
Marcy Clark says, I'll take any excuse to go eat. Amen.
Marcy, me and you are the same.
Lynn has a question about the flowers.
Yeah.
Are the larger flowers morning glories? And are the top of the flowers meant to have light on them and love you?
Well, thank you. Love you too. And honestly, when I did these flowers, I wasn't thinking of a specific kind. I think that flowers are amazing in the way that you can pretty much make up whatever you want, and it's a safe area because they've got to exist somewhere. And if they don't, then like, who cares? It's your painting and that's fine. You get to make up your own world. That's the fun thing with painting. So I wasn't thinking of anything specific when I painted these. Are you okay?
This bear man.
What? The mouth?
She's looking like a no face.
Here.
Because it's wet.
First of all, she's looking really great.
Oh yeah.
Just let it dry and then go back in and put in that mouth line. That's it.
Okay.
That's all you got to do, Molly. It's not a big deal at all.
No big deal.
No big deal. Next, problem solved.
I feel like my bear is squinting at me to get the values.
This is why I love. Yes. Your bear is like seriously focusing. Let me put Jesse's in. It's like staring at you right now. So great.
It won't follow me with its eyes, or it won't be able to put it in there, and it'll be creeped out.
That's so great. This is why I love painting animals because like, and I need to figure out how I can teach this, but like how you shape the eyes, the brows, the shadows is what gives it expression, and the slightest change will make the biggest difference when it comes to expressions and faces. Like, I think I even talked to Kenan about this the other day where I'm like, if my nose was just pinched up just a little bit, that would change the entire look of my face.
We were gonna do a tutorial, and you're just sitting there with your finger pushing your nose up. You're like, guys.
But it's so true. Like if you, and I know this is so silly, but if you go in the mirror and you just start playing with different expressions and noticing what those changes are, that will. What, Kenan?
I just love how you explain it. You're just making these expressions.
I'm making
so
all
funny.
the expressions as I'm telling people to make it. But I know that sounds so funny, but it's so helpful, and it will help you understand why some of the, if you're getting certain looks on your animals, why they're happening that way. So I'm gonna like work on how I can teach that, but if anything, that's why I love painting animals, is because they have a personality and an expression, and that's why I also like naming them. You know what I mean?
Yes.
This one I feel like is a little bit kinder than the one I did in the pre-recorded tutorial.
Less of a smirk.
Yeah. Or more of a smirk.
No, it's hard to say. Also, Michael just tuned in, said, just tuned in, thought this was Let's Make Darts. Sorely disappointed.
My Michael said that? What? Get out of here. That's my husband. Okay, so I'm taking a step back. I'm seeing, okay, what can I do here? What parts are distracting? What parts can I improve? If I'm looking at my reference photo, I think what I really liked about this and what I'm missing from here is these touches of red orange. So on the side of my nose, on little bits of fur on the face, I don't have that strong color and I'm missing it. So I'm going to put it in right now. I'm just going to grab a little bit of yellow, a little bit with my red, and just do a wash right on top and introduce some of that strong color back into it. Let's make darts. What a jokester. I love him. Okay, so I put some more red orange on the side of my nose. I'm gonna do a little bit on my bridge and then like in the fur a little bit so then it feels a little bit more together.
Sorry, I'm taking over paint.
No, we're sharing a palette. It's the right thing.
It's the right thing.
The other thing that I'm kind of noticing as I'm painting this is I have a stronger shadow or darker value on the right-hand side right underneath my flowers, right there. So I feel like I'm missing that a little bit, so I'm going to put that back in again. And the reason why I'm putting this as a separate step is I can't see your painting. And what you need for your painting is different than what I need for my painting right now. So this is why I want to empower you to look at the painting and make the decision that's going to work for you, because maybe this area was already dark and you didn't need to put that in. Well, don't put it in then. So just kind of like look at your painting and figure out what it needs. And I know that that's a tall thing to ask, and if you're not familiar with painting, you might be like, well, I don't know what it needs. And that's okay. You don't have to know the answers right away, but maybe just taking the time to look at it and notice things, because that's how we learn, and that's how you will eventually be able to identify what things you need to look at.
I almost always need to darken up at the end because I'm really
Yeah.
light-handed, and I
Yes.
layer before I get there.
Same for me. There's nothing wrong with putting those darker values in at the end.
That's when I get the most confidence anyway.
Yeah.
Well, we got this far.
Okay, and the last thing is I still have this 2 dots on my eyes. So on the one that's closer to the bottom, I'm just going to take a damp brush and smooth the black paint over it just once or twice. It just gives it the hint of a light value, just the softest hint.
What did you do?
I just did a swoop across on the bottom dot.
Do it.
So I just kind of just, that's
Oh,
it.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's it. And it just like, by just having a slight value difference, and if you like blended it so much that it's totally black, that's okay. You can even lift out a little bit of color if you want while it's damp, but it just gives that eyeball a little bit more sense of depth and shape. Okay. I feel good about mine. I'm gonna name her. Let me think about this. Hold on, actually, I'm gonna put a little bit of red here. Oh yeah, I like what I just did.
I feel like there was a name you said at the end of the tutorial last time. That was
Yes!
meaningful.
Oh my gosh, Keenan, thank you so much. Okay, I'm gonna name her Marlene. That's the name of my grandma. And she's so great and kind and like so strong, but in like not a mean way. In like,
A knowing way.
yeah, just like strong in kindness and strong in peace and strong in who she is. So that's what this bear totally fits that, I think, better than the one we did in the tutorial. So I'm
Absolutely.
glad I saved it. This is Marlene. Do you know a name yet?
Oh, Jane. She's
Jane.
like my mama bear sister-in-law that will like knock anybody out of there.
Yes.
Cross the line.
Yes. Do you need a second, Molly? Let's hold it up so people can see them.
Okay.
Is everybody ready?
Making sure nothing's gonna run away from me.
Jesse's first.
I still need to go back and do my mouth.
Just,
but
can you zoom
Oh, that's
out
okay.
so it could look good from the road?
I am as zoomed out as I can go. Here it goes. Yeah, pull it away. There you go.
And I love this
There's
part.
Jesse's.
Jesse's.
Right when I went
Yes.
to swoop, I hit that little
Jesse's
highlight, but it's
bear.
okay,
That's
squinty.
okay.
Still squinty.
Sarah's
Look at the
bear.
textures. Wait, let me do my.
Oh wait, let me.
Okay.
Wait, okay. Okay.
tell me.
Sarah's bear coming in now. I zoomed in as much as I could on your face.
Thank you. Thanks for that. And we have Molly's.
Molly.
Look how good her fur textures are.
So good.
Wait, let people see. The people want to see it, Molly.
I'm just
Does
tracking
this.
this.
Look like me?
Yes, if you were a bear.
Yes.
Okay. So, if you painted with us, first of all, thank you. I'm so sorry the internet was cutting out, but I appreciate you guys. And share your work. I know it sounds scary. It's really hard to put your stuff out there because you're afraid that people will judge it. You're afraid that someone will think badly. But don't let that stop you. And also, we look at each other's not to compare or to compete. We look at each other's to see how they're approaching the same exact painting. And this is a perfect example. We all did the same painting. We followed the same steps. They look so different from each other. And we can learn from that. We can see how other people are approaching the same problems and see how they solve them. Or you can be like, man, Jesse, your textures on this was so good. I'm going to try that next time. And I'm going to focus really hard on getting textures. Or Molly's is really dark. There's a lot of like depth and layers going on with hers. Like, that's something that you can pay attention to and learn from, and we can help each other that way. So if you're on Instagram, you can tag us in it, Let's Go Make Art, or hashtag Let's Make Art. We have a Facebook group, and it's meant just for sharing art so you guys can connect and see what each other are painting. It's really supportive and wonderful. It's called Let's Make Art Watercolor. So if you don't feel comfortable posting it on your Instagram or your public Facebook, but you still want to start putting your stuff out there, great place to go. Super understanding. We appreciate every stage. Don't be intimidated by it because everybody is just learning. That's all it is. I think that's all I need to say besides these wonderful shirts. If you want to get them, they're for sale now. We finally have them. We've been talking about it for months. I'm so excited. So you have until June 1st if you want the discounted price for the pre-order. And then
Which is a long time.
Yeah.
That's
you
awesome.
You have time to do this.
Yeah.
And then they'll ship out June 10th. So it's a pre-order right now. I think that's it. You guys are great. Thank you so much for painting with
Thanks,
me.
Sarah.
Keenan, you're wonderful as always.
Thank you.
Goodbye.